Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And Eric has the license to review, and he's going to talk about the next in the James Bond series, and it's Live or Let Die. I did not get a chance to watch this one, so I'm going to relinquish the floor to Eric.
Yeah. So this is the first Roger Moore.
Okay.
Not a Roger Moore guy. The Roger Moore era is the era of James Bond I'm least familiar with, because I hardly ever go back to it.
Okay.
So, like, I generally go through the James Bond movies once a year. And I'll go through all the Connerys, I'll go through the Timothy Daltons, I'll watch the first two Pierce Brosnans, and I'll watch the Craig ones. I just skip this era. I just don't care.
So you watched more than half?
Yeah. And I don't...
How many did he do?
More than anyone.
Oh, okay.
Like 7 or 8. And
so that's
boy,
a big
is he
chunk. So you're
old at the
skipping.
end of it.
So you're just skipping a quarter of them.
Yeah, and I'm skipping most people's childhood. I found like a lot of people are Roger Moore people because they grew up with it. And I like Roger Moore when I was a kid, but as I got older, because my reintroduction to James Bond is through the Casino Royale novel and then all of the Ian Fleming novels.
Okay. So
when I go back, I'm like, this is like kitschy and it's way too much comedy and all of that. So Live and Let Die is one of the last James Bond movies I see. All of the last James Bond movies I see are Roger Moore films. It's that, View to a Kill, and the one before View to a Kill, which is actually pretty good.
Wait, what is that movie called?
A View to a Kill?
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Christopher Walken's the bad guy.
Weird.
It's awful.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about that.
And Tanya Roberts is the girl. It's his last movie. I forget what the other one is, but it's late. But there's another Roger Moore one that I saw last. So I don't know why I see this one like so late, but I do. This movie's not bad. I just can't get excited about it.
Okay.
It does a lot of things I like in James Bond movies. It's very small. And some people complain, like some of the contemporary critics and things like complained about how small it was. I like that. It's basically a drug operation, a drug smuggling operation. And there's also some voodoo stuff. This is the first movie. I think I can put my finger on what I don't like about this movie. And what's weird is that finger is on James Bond. This is the beginning of James Bond's downward spiral of being a pop culture trendsetter to being a pop culture trend follower. This is a blaxploitation movie.
Oh, weird.
With James Bond as the protagonist.
Okay, so that makes no sense.
And there are scenes where I'm like, I'm in the blaxploitation movie. And then James Bond wanders on the screen, and I'm like, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. Get out of here. What are you doing in Harlem, James Bond? It takes place largely in Harlem.
Strange.
I'm
assuming that's the only one.
Yeah, I don't think we go back to Harlem. I could be wrong, but I don't think we go back to Harlem. Well, after the Hulk wrecked it, like what would he do?
Right. Not that anybody remembers that, but yeah.
Not that anybody ever mentions it. It's got this. The other problem is I don't love the villain.
Yeah.
The guy who plays.
You had that problem with a lot of those, though.
Well, here's the thing. He's not bad. It's just there are other actors in the film that are his minions that are better. Specifically, the guy that plays Baron Samedi. I think it's Samedi. I always thought it was Samdi, but I think it's Samedi. He's this guy who pretends to be this like ancient voodoo god or whatever.
Okay.
He should have been the lead villain. He's a joy to watch, and he's having so much fun. The bad guy's just like a guy, like not as bad as Blofeld last movie, but like he just. I think he'd be fine if his minions weren't as much fun as they are. He just doesn't have enough presence. This also is a movie that has one of the, maybe the biggest, where I'm like, I'm not sure if what you did to that woman is okay, James Bond. So there's this woman named Solitaire that works for the villain, and
that's a fun name.
Solitaire?
Yeah.
She's a tarot card reader, and very importantly, she's a virgin. And we're not told till after, or I don't think we're told till after, but we're basically told that every woman in her family has the sight, and once they lose their virginity, they lose the sight.
No.
James Bond tricks her into sleeping with him by saying that, where he's like, well, look at the cards, and she draws the card that says lovers, and like he says, like, the deck told me that we're going to be lovers, and she draws the card that's lovers, and they're making out, and he does this thing, which only works in a movie, because if she was really there, she'd just look over and see it happened, where he like puts the deck over here behind him, but tosses it so we, the audience, can see that all of the cards in the deck are the lovers cards. Which is an expensive thing to do when you think about it. But
And it's a good thing that he knew there was an audience watching.
yeah. But well, I just mean assembling a deck of just lovers cards. Like that's.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that when it's like all like Jack of Diamonds, where I'm like, well, how many deck gifts by 52 decks? That gets pricey.
Unless you can find a novelty deck where they made it that way.
I'm not sure if what he did is okay or not.
It doesn't sound it, does it?
I don't think it's okay. It's a gray area, but I don't think it's okay. She's also really dumb. She follows, I guess this is what happened last movie too, where like she's okay, and then she gets dumb. Like she's not dumb, and then she just becomes dumb. What happens again in this movie is absurd. Where, like, the end. So like they're on a train and they're going home. Like the adventure is over. And then of course one of the minions shows up. And she's like laying in this like sexy nightgown, and James Bond comes out of the bathroom, and then the bad guy comes in, stands right next to her, and the bed is like part of the wall, like it's like this, right? Like it folds but up into the wall. And he just flicks it up, and she just goes into the wall. and then James Bond fights the bad guy and like gets rid of him. And then he pulls the bed back down. She's like, "What's the idea?" You know, like he's like, "That's funny." Like that's. I was like, he was right next to her. Like the bad guy was right there. Why is she? I don't know. This is not important.
Yeah.
This is not a bad first showing for him.
I was going to ask you what he's like.
I don't know. He's not Sean Connery. He's also not the second one.
Lazenby.
Yeah, George Lazenby. He's also not George Lazenby. I don't. Roger Moore's James Bond has always come off to me
as Sean Connery.
Yeah,
as James
that'd
Bond.
be amazing. Roger Moore's James Bond always comes off to me as kind of smarmy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because he seems like the nicest, guy. But his James Bond comes off kind of smarmy, and I don't like that he takes it in a comedy direction. And it's not just him. Like they always talk about like writing movies for the Bond, and like we take it in the comedy direction because like that's his sensibilities. Is what it seems like, and I've always.
So it sounds like it might have just been a poor casting choice before it's ended.
Yeah, but most people don't think so.
Because
most people grew up with like these are the Bond movies all of our parents grew up with.
Well, I'll finally see him next time because I'll probably watch the next one.
Yeah, because it's Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah, which I want to see for.
You actually have to watch the next three because
Oh,
it's Man with the Golden Gun, and then The Spy Who Loved Me is his big one.
Okay,
like that's the important one. That's iconic, and then you want to see Moonraker. For some reason.
I do.
Which is just The Spy Who Loved Me for the first half of it.
Because I've always heard about how infamous it is, and I was curious about it when I was a kid.
It's not as bad as you'll think it is.
Okay, cool.
Until the third act. That's the secret of Moonraker. Moonraker's not awful until the third act. No, it's Living Like That's fine. Like, if somebody told me this was their favorite James Bond movie, I wouldn't be like, really, that one? But, like, it just doesn't resonate with me. I kind of wish I was just watching, like, a blaxploitation movie. Like, that's my big thing with this movie, is I was like, James Bond keeps ruining this movie I'm watching with all these great performers.
Do you think they should have done that? Do you think they should have cast a black James Bond back then and make that kind of movie?
No, that'd be weird.
That would be weird, right?
It would be weird to do in the movie where James Bond goes to Harlem.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's going to Harlem, we'll have to cast a black guy. Like, that would be weird. Also, I should note, the Felix Leiter in this movie, up until, I think it's Jeffrey Rush. It's not Jeffrey Rush. Jeffrey Rush is Barbossa.
That's a different guy.
Yeah. It's something Rush. The guy in the Daniel Craig movies who plays him in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, up until him, the Felix Leiter in this movie is the only person to ever play Felix Leiter twice, and it's in this, and then like 10 years later in License to Kill.
Weird.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Did did the character continue to show up? It
Well, yeah.
was played by different people?
Yeah,
Oh,
Felix
weird.
Leiter's different in every single movie he's in.
Okay.
You've already seen Felix Leiter a couple of times. He's the American agent that works with James Bond.
Yeah.
You're always like, no one knows who that is.
Yeah.
It's that guy.
You always bring him up, and I'm like, who's that?
Yeah.
And like 6 times, I'm like, who's that?
It also should be noted that this is the second book, and in the book he loses an arm and a leg.
Wow.
And he's got like a hook hand for the rest of the book.
Felix Leiter does?
Yeah. We use him completely differently in the movies than he is in the books. No, in the second book he loses an arm and a leg, and he has a sign pinned to him because a shark ate his arm and his leg. He has a sign pinned to him that says he disagreed with something that ate him.
That's great.
Yeah. And that will actually show up later in License to Kill.
Oh,
I don't remember if the sign does, but yeah, it's all thing. So yeah, I should note that. This is not one of my favorite. This isn't bad. Like, I'm not dogging on this movie. If people love this, like whatever. It just doesn't click with me.
Are you going to say that for all of his movies?
No. I will probably have more varied opinions on Man with the Golden Gun. I'm interested to see what Spy Who Loves Me is like, because I have a different experience each time I watch that, and I really don't care for Jaws. Jaws is iconic. I don't like Jaws.
Just as character?
As a character. He's too far for James Bond.
Yeah.
He does things that I'm like, that's superhuman. That's too far for this universe.
That's the thing I remember about him.
Yeah. And then,
I don't know which one I must have seen when I was a kid, but I seem to remember seeing like 2 Jaws movies back to back.
then that would be that would be Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker, because he's only in those 2.
Okay.
The one whose title I can't remember is I think the best, Roger Moore. We'll see when I get there. But yeah, so not my favorite. Kind of wish it just didn't have James Bond in it. But I do appreciate how small it is. It's also, I think, the only film that doesn't have Q in it. They wanted to get away. This is the consummate first Bond film, where we go, okay, we're going to strip things back, we're going to go back to basics, we're going to be a little bit more serious. Like, it's very much that movie, which is the first, it's everyone's first James Bond movie is, we're going to reel it back in, we're going to refocus on like what the books are like. And I just think it's a wrong fit for Roger Moore. Maybe I'll like some of that comedic stuff later as I get to it, but like, this isn't that. He just feels wrong to me. But we'll see.
For your eyes only.
For Your Eyes Only,
Yeah.
is I remember is from my recollections is his best film.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah.
Well, thanks for talking about it.
Yeah.
And hopefully next time you'll
Well, we'll both talk about it next
have a little
time.
bit more fun.
Well, Christopher Lee's the next one.
Oh, cool.
And Nick Dack, who's that short guy that's in Fantasy Island I kept trying to explain earlier, or the other day. We were talking about Fantasy Island. I'm like, all I know is that Ricardo Montalban's in it, and the short guy from a James Bond movie. You'll get to see that short guy.
Wow.
His name's Nick Dack.
Give a dog a bone. Well, anyway,
Yep.
we will see you again next time for that. And in the meantime, we're going to continue on with the rest of the omnibus. We have just a couple things left. And next up, I am going to talk briefly about the Telltale Walking Dead series. I played just the first episode on request, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Not the whole game, just that. So
The pilot.
The pilot, yeah, like we did for the TV show. We're just sampling Walking Dead stuff this week. That's what we're doing. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you again next time. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you, folks.